Richie McCaw, okay, give you an example. Richie McCaw would lose 10 pounds or 5 liters of sweat in a game, every single game. And at the end of 80 minutes, was he performing any worse than he was in the first 5 minutes? No. Okay. So there's proof. Yeah, I've done sweat testing quite a few times on myself. The reason being I used to cramp a lot. I still do, but now it's through fatigue of a muscle group, not through electrolytes or hydration. So, yeah, I basically would cramp a lot and I was just guessing what I needed. And they used to be called, I think they're still around, called salt sticks, which are really, really high dose electrolyte. From America, I used to get them in New Zealand. I used to have heaps of them and I was just blind, right? Blind to what I was needing. So I would essentially do what we do in pro sport now, which is weigh yourself pre and post a session, and then you put a sweat patch on. And there's all sorts of different sweat patches available. The one I used was called Nix, I think. Nix, Nix. You basically buy a pack of four of them, and it's just an app on your phone. You chuck it on your arm, and you go for your run, and you come back, and there's Bluetooth it, and it tells you the components of your sweat and the amount. And so it'll tell you, are you a high electrolyte loser, or are you just a high volume sweater, or are you both? And I was both. So for my last Ironman, I did in my runs during training, I was losing about three kilograms an hour. Okay. So I'd go for a run for 2 hours, I'd lose 6 kilograms. Obviously, I'd drink about 1.5 liters. So I was 4.5 kilograms down. And then my sweat patch would tell me what I was losing. And essentially all the readily available electrolyte drinks aren't enough for me. I need super concentrated electrolyte for how much salt I lose. And it tells you what specific salts, sodium, chloride, potassium. So I think it's just about, it's like anything, right? If we don't like measure things, then we're just guessing. And so I think analyzing your sweat or having a sweat study done on yourself is really cool. And there's a massive role in that in footballers and any collision sport, any sport that involves exertion for periods of time, and then particularly if it's going to be in the heat. But even if it's not in the heat, exertion for a period of time, understanding, the makeup of how you should be remaining hydrated and functioning at a high level.
Did it give you data on carbohydrate use? Like how much you should no, no.
No, but you can predict that, and the thing with carbohydrate use is everyone's different. So again, if you read the literature, the literature recommends your body can't process more than 90 grams of carbohydrate per hour while you're exercising. Okay, that's what the literature says. I spoke to some Ironman athletes, I want to say 10 years ago, and they were having about 160 grams an hour pure liquid. They are racing at the edge, right? And they're highly trained. My last Ironman, I averaged 150 grams per hour for 10 hours. Okay. And so you train your body to have it, but when you're trying to push hard and sustain effort, you've just got to keep putting fuel in. And it sounds like a lot of sugar, and it is. When you're exerting yourself like that, it's just what you need, but you've got to train yourself to do it. I'm working with an Ironman athlete at the moment, and he's struggling to get sort of 60 to 70 in without getting tummy sort of cramps and things. So again, it's just trialing things, experimenting, and teaching the body to do things that it can do. But yeah, that's a little bit of a go for a ride for 2 hours and try 90 grams an hour and see how you feel at the end of 2 hours. And if you're feeling pooped, then typically you're unfit and or underfueled.
Regarding the hydration or dehydration, when someone lose more than or around 2% of their body weight, it will negatively affect on their aerobic fitness and the aerobic endurance. Is that right, sir?
Again, if you look at the literature, yeah, a 2% loss in body weight affects performance. But
Performance.
if you look at marathon runners, you watch the best marathon runners in the world, they don't drink anything. They dehydrate way more than 2%, and they don't slow down. They go faster. I think some people can operate with a greater percentage of dehydration, but again, it's a training effect, right? Like you think about it, if I do a marathon and I've lost 5 kilograms, well, 5 kilograms of body weight lost is it's a huge amount of weight I'm not lugging around the course. I don't think it's as simple as that, Lucky. I think The literature will suggest that, if we do lose a certain amount, we would need to get it, we need to get it back for the next day. And if we are losing a lot, we need to make sure we have some strategies to try and decrease the loss. But for me, I don't think it's a massive issue if we lose 2 or 3%. I'll know my performance is bad, because there's millions of athletes that prove otherwise.